Hello and welcome to Commodity Champions. I am Manisha Gupta, and this week let's look into the developments from the agriculture space. Well, the first advance estimates are out, and we perhaps are looking at a record output of kharif crops at 141 million tons. This is even as the country has seen 9 to 10% below normal monsoon. The rice played a major part in this bumper production. And moving on, the space that has been in talk over the years now really has been sugar. Lately, the cabinet has approved a package of rupees 5,500 crores for the sector. The subsidy will be rupees 13.88 per quintal for the cane crushed and 1,000 to 3,000 rupees per ton for transport, handling and freight from the port. The subsidy will be credited directly into the accounts of farmers and is expected to help mills clear their dues with the farmers. However, the sector has asked for more steps as they seek exports to be made mandatory and a MSP hike for sugar prices as well. Meanwhile, the government is busy drawing a 1,500 crore plan to boost agri exports as a whole. The aim of the policy is to double agri exports to $60 billion by 2022 and is considering development of special economic zones for agriculture sector. And to discuss this further, we have three heads of the agri sector businesses. Hemant Malik is Chief Executive of Food Division at ITC. Joining us also is Chairman of Godrej Agrovet, Nadir Godrej. And we also have with us Atul Chaturvedi, who's Executive Chairman, Sri Renuka Sugars. Gentlemen, hi. Thank you so much for joining us. Hemant, let's start with you first. And what has been your sense? There have been so many policy changes. The thrust clearly seems to be towards agriculture, farmers. We have seen an MSP hike, duty changes. Where would you say that the food and agri sector stands as of now?
I think two parts of it. One is from the consumer perspective. I think the way I see there is a good growth which is taking place in the FMCG space. The industry is now talking about almost 11% plus growth, with certain categories within foods growing almost upward of 15-17%. This could be the rural growth is higher than urban growth. The growth we find is much more in the west and the eastern part of the country. So this growth is because of the increase in consumer spend that is available in consumers' hands. A lot of that could be because of these policies, because of the growth in income at different levels. It is a good opportunity area for us as we look into the festive season, as then we look into pre-election as well. That also gives a boost to consumption. So we are looking at a good positive next 6 months.
Hemant, you mentioned about the festivals and the wedding season is approaching as well. Is ITC as a company and as a sector overall looking to a lot of launches, increase in campaigns, marketing? This is the time of the year when you see all of that actually on a heightened, elevated level.
I think as ITC Foods, we have set a very large ambition for ourselves. We have now become the third largest food company in the country. We are present in many categories, and there are plans in each of those categories. Just to highlight a few of these, as the festive season is coming, Febel, a brand of chocolates that we have launched, the premium luxury range. Diwali is a good season for that. We have a wide range of hampers that are available for people to share with one of the best quality chocolates in the world. For our biscuit range and for our juices range, North is a big gifting market, so we have great offers in terms of beautiful packaging that would be available, which people can gift to each other. At the same time, we are also looking at a couple of some new launches that are coming in, and I think ITC will be launching into the dairy beverage space. So under the brand Sunfeast Wonders Milk, we plan to get into the market in the month of October. These are, it's very important to be able to differentiate, and this would be the first time that the consumer will experience, fruit beverage with the real fruits in it. So these are very tasty and healthy products. We have a range of almost 4 different items. At the same time, we are looking at new launches in confectionery category. We're looking at new launches in biscuits. We have come up with a range of jelly fill under our Sunfeast Dark Fantasy brand. These are also the first to the market. So as a philosophy, we've always looked at what is it that we will come in, which will have a differentiation in the marketplace and be able to meet the consumer growing requirements for new and innovative offers.
Do you, Hemant, also see food industry growth picking up? I mean, and where do you see that coming in? Because we've seen so many premium products being pushed in as well. So what's your sense on an overall growth year-on-year basis?
I see that, and as I was mentioning, we are seeing almost a growth in FMCG of 11%, while food is growing faster. Recent data from Nielsen is talking about 12.5% growth, rural higher than urban, modern trade growing at almost 17%, and therefore I think it's good time from the industry growth perspective. Having said that, market will always look at competition. You have to compete with certain commodity prices going up. There will be some challenges in terms of pricing. Certain price increases will have to be looked at from that perspective. But good value proposition is what will make a difference. And as I said, we have quite a range of new products offering that are there, as well as building in terms of whatever for our current brands that we are looking at.
What really has been ITC's product portfolio, and do you see it changing as per the consumer trends? Because we have seen the kind of spend, the amount of spend and the kind of variety. Would you say brand loyalty is something that soon seems to be disappearing?
I think consumer trends will always evolve, and a good organization and a marketing organization need to constantly look at how it is moving. One of the key phenomena that we are seeing is the interest in the health food space. Super grains, millets, those are new age discussions that are happening. Actually, these are all traditional food, but coming back in consumers' mind. We are seeing a growth in the ghee. For a few years back, ghee was not seen as to be good, but now we are finding that ghee is seen to be good. So there is a fair amount of new knowledge and new information that is coming in, and the consumers are looking at trying. And and we have a range of offers to address each of these opportunity areas. I think in the health space, we were the first to come up with the no added sugar biscuit. In our atta range, we have the sugar release control atta. Recently, we launched a sattu biscuit. They taste like besan ka laddu, but they have a higher percentage of protein in them. In each segment, we are looking at the snack space as well in terms of what are some of the offerings that can come in, which will be multi-grain or multi-millet based offers. We are looking at millets as a big space in terms of expanding our Ashirwad atta. So all these are there in the horizon. I can't exactly tell you when they'll get launched, but we have teams working on the same.
Hemant, also, shifting focus onto the agri, that is where the thrust really seems to be. You are into a space, into food. There has been MSP increase. Prices of commodities have been increasing as well. How as a company, are you looking at these price increases as an input cost? Are you going out and hedging when it comes to many of these commodities?
I think if you look at ITC, we are also a very large agri company. We are, in fact, our agri business is working in different geographies of the country to look at in terms of what is it that we can help in terms of driving farmers' income. The whole aspect about doubling farmers' incomes, we have done experiments and proven in terms of how productivity can increase in states of Uttar Pradesh as well as Andhra. So that is from the farmer perspective. The second is from the packaged food perspective, where we are finding some impact in terms of increase in prices of certain commodities. My commodity team has to actually do an even better job to make sure that we take our hedges in time, and I think they're doing a pretty good job. Whenever it is required, I think when you have a portfolio of products, you can balance your pricing in terms of deciding which brand can actually increase the prices and in which you have to stay the course. There is a 5 rupee and 10 rupee big market, and you can't simply vacate those price points right now. So you do some innovation in product in terms of the ingredients that you use to be able to give great value for the consumer as well as for yourself.
Hemant, I want to come back to the point that you made earlier, that the rural demand seems to be increasing faster than what you have seen in the urban markets. Would you say that the rural aspirational premium category demand also is something that the markets are seeing now?
I think it's a very good question. We have always assumed that rural means low price products, but that is not true. In fact, what the rural market has been, I would say, suffered in a manner of speaking is accessibility. Accessibility of, we have a brand called Chocofill, which is a 5 rupee, so to say, premium biscuit, but I'm finding the growth is maximum in the rural market. The challenge is about reaching those offers to those markets, and therefore new distribution models, which can be low-cost distribution models. But if you are able to reach, there is a consumer demand, because the consumer is, the same media is available to the consumer, and they have the same aspirations are there. I think the challenge for marketers is to make sure that these offers reach them, and I'm sure the growth will continue to be higher there.
All right. Thank you so much, Hemant. Well, those are very positive numbers coming in from an FMCG leader. And as he said, that the growth is expected higher, and the festival season is what they're really looking to make use of at this point in time for better products and, of course, premium products. Joining us also, as I said earlier, is Mr. Nadir Godrej. Mr. Godrej, hi, thank you so much for joining us. We have spoken about the whole FMCG sector, the MSP and the agro space as well. But another buzzword that we saw in this week and the recent few time, of course, has been the biofuels. What is your sense on the kind of policy reforms that we have seen come in at this stage where India is? How much time, how much effort will you see for this sector to come into mainstream?
Yes, India has not made a lot of progress on biofuels. There is some capacity for biodiesel in India. And of course, ethanol has been produced from molasses for a long time in India. But now there is a move to make ethanol from sugar. There's overproduction of sugar in India. So from that perspective, biofuel, ethanol is an excellent idea for India, but sugar is a water-guzzling crop, so we also need to do a lot to have watershed development so that we have adequate availability of water, and the sugar industry needs to adopt drip irrigation to save on water. And then, of course, biofuels would be a good idea, and it would not only help the environment, but it would also save our dependence on petroleum.
It sure is, and petroleum is yet another buzzing word where we have seen all-time highs in petrol and diesel for a couple of weeks or more now. With the crude oil prices at 4-year highs and with the rupee depreciating, would you say that the pace that we are working in sense of ethanol or biodiesel for that matter really needs to be fastened?
Yes, the faster we do it, the better. Crude oil could go even higher. We should realize that the sanctions on Iran seem to be one of the major reasons for petroleum prices to be so high. If there's a way that we can manage to deal with Iran while avoiding the sanctions, that would help. A lot of the sanctions are on the payment method, so if we can pay Iran in rupees and if we can find enough goods to export to Iran, I think that would be a very good solution.
Well, absolutely. Mr. Godrej, also, how long do you think it will take for the, electrification to happen? We are moving in the right direction. As you said, there are a lot of avenues open here. But what really needs to ensure that it can be done on a faster pace again?
Well, while incentives for electric cars will help, and the infrastructure, the government could play a big role in providing the charging infrastructure. So those things take a little bit of time to get going because it's a chicken and egg problem. No electric cars, therefore no chargers, no electric cars. But once you make a breakthrough, the progress will be very, very fast. And we need not be very impatient because it's perhaps better to wait till the costs become really low.
Well, yes. What also is your sense on the steps taken by the government so far for the agriculture sector? I mean, you are quite strongly in the field there with the kind of moves that we've seen in MSP and implementation. What is your own sense?
On the one hand, we have too many people in agriculture. It's very important to get at least some of those people out of agriculture. The very small land holdings is a big problem as well. but leasing is catching on. So if some of the farmers lease their lands and move into the cities, that will be an ideal solution for all. The government's efforts will bear fruit. There are a lot of startups who are providing technology to agriculture. That will make a huge difference. Productivity can improve a lot in agriculture. Productivity by better seeds, better agrochemicals, all these things will help. And I think there is going to be a bright future for Indian agriculture, but there's no way we can keep 50% of our population engaged in agriculture. In most developed countries, it's down to 2 or 3%. It's possible that in India we can reach 15% because our labor costs are lower. We can grow labor-intensive crops. Already horticulture is doing very well in India. Perhaps India shouldn't be growing cereals. India should be growing more specialized crops, more oil seeds, because we have a tremendous demand for oil in this country, and definitely more fruits and vegetables, both for India and for export.
Mr. Godrej, your point is well taken. Most developed countries have 2 to 3% of their population dependent on agriculture versus 50% of India, which definitely needs to be brought down. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for joining us. With that, it's time for a short break, but don't go anywhere because we will be joined by Atul Chaturvedi, Executive Chairman, Sri Renuka Sugars on the other side.
पलकों पे सपने कुछ गहरे हल्के सात रंगों में लिपटे लिपटे इन आँखों में सारा जहां है थामो इन बाहों को रेशमी राहों को जादुई से जरा छिड़के इन हाथों में
कल को बना रही हैं कल्पनाएं और स्टील टाटा स्टील वी ऑल्सो मेक टुमारो
The all-new Toyota Yaris, all sense, all sedan.